Welcome to week 3 of Michigan Garden. Politics and vegetables. That's 3. This is coffee.
They call me the seeker. I've been searching low and high.
Introducing the literary corner. And of course, the revolution is the topic. We have Frederick Bastiat, 1801 to 1850, involved in the French Revolution of 1848. He wrote The Law, which is a great item. You can get it a PDF online real easy. Frederick Bastiat, The Law. I'm going to read just a little bit and expound. It is not, as people think, the monopolists, but the monopolized that sustain the monopolies. When misguided public opinion honors what is despicable and despises what is honorable, punishes virtue and rewards vice, encourages what is harmful and discourages what is useful, applauds falsehood and smothers truth under indifference or insult, a nation turns its back on progress and can only be restored by the terrible lessons of catastrophe. What is freedom? It is a sum total of all our freedoms. To be free on one's own responsibility, to think and to act, to speak and to write, to labor and to exchange, to teach and to learn, this alone is to be free. I have not made an alliance with anyone. I have not joined either side. On each question, I have voted according to my own conscience. The truth, it lasts forever, no matter how you put it. And what the first thing I read there was, it is not, as people think, the monopolists, but the monopolized that sustain the monopolies. So everybody, let's agree on one thing: our government is corrupt. But who sustains it? We do. We sustain the whole system because, you know, change is difficult for people. We've been trained that just to go along with the system. Everything points towards upholding what is and not changing what is. People don't want to change, especially people that are invested in this ridiculous world that we live in. But there's going to be an investment to be made here that it doesn't involve money. None of the good things do, okay? Nothing worth anything really involves money. I mean, you can argue all day on that one if you want, but, you know, you can be happy no matter where you are. So that's the first thing, and that's about being free. Because to be happy, you've got to be unencumbered by the fact that, you know, somebody might be looking at you or watching you or anything like that. And I'm kind of going against the grain for a reason, because I'm out to prove that, yeah, you can be out in public and everything like that and still keep things on a serious revolutionary level, because that's what I am. I am a revolutionary. Make no mistake about it. We are going to have the revolution. It might be my job to start it, but give me a chance at least, because we all want it, okay? So how do we start it? Everybody asks me, well, you want a revolution? What do you want, to take your gun out or anything like that? First of all, you know, violence is not the issue right now, okay? Violence has nothing to do with what I'm talking about here. The revolution has to occur. The first thing that happens before the revolution occurred is an informed public. We don't have that. So, you know, somebody's not doing their job. It's me, it's you, it's everybody else who's turned on to a few facts that would let you know that we're in deep trouble. Because we got to get over this fact that we might not be thinking we're not in deep trouble, because we are in deep trouble, okay? And we are the gatekeepers on each other. We are. We hold each other down. Hell, we'll turn each other in if it would mean a few bucks. We're a slave to our own human nature. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, they got us. You know what I mean? You can't win when you're fighting your own nature, unless you know what your nature is, because this only works on the uninformed and those who are not aware of how they're using the very wants and desires that are embedded in humanity, that are embedded in the material things. These things are what they use to draw people to the system and just keep them happy enough to be in the system, because that's all they want, is for you to just not care just a little bit. Because to get out and do anything, you really have to care. I mean, you've got to go beyond just talking about it. You've got to kind of, you got to put yourself out there. You've got to let it be known that you're going to be one of the ones that want to see change. We don't want to necessarily talk about it all day long. We want to see some things happen. What I really want to see happen is people wake up, because it's there. It's available for everybody. All the information in the world. It's still on the free internet. It's still free. I mean, you can get moderated. I mean, but it's free. Now, use it while it's there, because that's one of the first things that they will have to eliminate. They're going to pull the kill switch. They've been trying to do this for a long time, but they're a long ways from doing that because of why. Why haven't they done it yet? I'm going to tell you, because of money. Their own greed. Their nature can also be used against them. I mean, is anybody following me here? They're using the very nature that we want things that we can't afford. And we want the prettiest girl. And we want the nicest car. And, once we've got a car, then, we got to have that truck. And, it might be a little bit nicer. I mean, this stuff still goes on. That's ingrained in us. You know what I mean? Where did we get that from? You know what I mean? If you watch enough TV and enough car commercials, these people, I see people running around acting like commercials. So, I mean, this is crazy. We've lost our identity as a country. Let's get it back. It's pretty easy. We start talking to each other, except all this gobbledygook, using the mainstream news as a talking piece, so we can interact. Let's me sit down and talk to you and find out how you feel about things. Let's not use the mainstream news or another tool. It's just me and you, okay? That's how you communicate. A lot of people it's lost right now. It's really lost. We can't communicate with each other, so they've got us. I mean, this is brilliant what they've done. I mean, they've divided us so many different ways that you can't even count them. I mean, but people like to argue. It's now all of a sudden we're arguing. We're a look for the bad guy culture, and you know what I mean? I'm just as guilty as anybody else. I mean, you're aware of it, but you find yourself sliding into those things. And I look at it, it's sport. I mean, that's how people treat it. It's treated like sport, like anything else. Now, people watch more of these reality chew up your neighbors shows than they do regular sports now, I'm sure. Anyways.
And I get on my knees and pray. We don't get fooled again. Don't get fooled again. No.
It is. It's 9:11 a.m. in the Michigan Garden. And oh yeah, taboo, 9/11, taboo, 9/11, taboo, 9/11. It's not taboo. Now, what the whole thing is about 9/11 is that is the issue now, okay? Let's bring it back and let's just keep it up there. Just, come on, every day we need something posted on 9/11. WTC 7, one of the buildings, the Pentagon, anything. And let's not fight over these articles. If somebody posts something that says, they can't find any plane debris at the Pentagon, for God's sake, let's not vilify the person, because a lot of these people that say those things are military people and everything else. The whole thing about fighting about, what actually happened is we don't know. Okay? You don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. We all have our own pet theories, so let's keep them to ourselves. Let's all agree and kind of take the architect's approach to this, because I think it's the right approach. Maybe we should get behind them a little bit better. Maybe we can give money to these. I mean, come on. This is a huge issue. We're coming up on the 11th anniversary of 9/11. This is the symbolism here. This is crazy. Let's go back, 11, 11, 11, 33, the Bush New World Order. 11 years later, we get 9/11. Now 11 years later, what is the logical progression of what's happening? We know this is the next step in their plan. We know financial collapse. We know war. But what is the next logical thing that they're going to spring on us? And it's not Jesus coming back, okay? We don't have holograms, and people are not going to believe that Jesus came back, okay? So let's not be worrying about that happening, or aliens land, and they're not going to land, all right? They're not coming. We're on our own. You know what I mean? We are on our own. And if you look deep inside, there ain't nobody else in there but you, all right? So this is now a huge issue, and we should bring it up and keep it up, because when I joined the Ron Paul campaign, they said no 9/11. None. Ron Paul doesn't believe in it. We don't want to hear it. We don't want to be identified with these people. And already I was like, well, I'm a huge 911 truth guy. I mean, I was on this from day one, literally, when I was at the Allegan County Fair, and wondering why there wasn't that many people around there the morning of September 11th, and then I saw about 20 people huddled around a small TV in a tent in a Carney's booth watching this, and I walked up there and I saw one of the buildings going down and them talking immediately about some kind of terrorism, and I said, oh my God, they did it. And I was mad. I was just like, and my ex-wife looked at me and my stepson and said, what's going on? And I said, nothing. And I just kind of like, don't watch the TV. And so there was no TV in the house for over 2 weeks on that subject. Now, they might have sneaked around and watched a little bit, but not enough to be indoctrinated, because I knew immediately they were going to use that TV to start programming people. And you know what? It worked. Holy mackerel. I like to call it 9/11 programming. It's still there. They're pushing the buttons on it right now. The fear thing, I mean, everything is fear-based. So you want to figure things out. You look at the huge picture. What do they want? What do they want? They don't want anything to do with us. They could care less about us. So get that right out of your mind. They don't care about us. We're going to take care of ourselves. They know that. They've set up everybody against each other in the wars. They don't care about the wars. They don't care about any of that stuff. And I keep saying they, and you're saying, who's that? Do your research. These people have all the money, or most of the money. And there's one particular English family that has 2/3 of the world's wealth. And you say, how is that possible? Well, when you're sitting at the top, you got enough people under. If you own 2/3 of the world's, don't you think you can cover up who you are? And I mean, everybody else owns and makes money off it, but in the end, ownership of the world is a whole different thing, and that's what these people think they have. But you can't own a man. You can't own me. You can't own my spirit. Now, my body, and your mind can be programmed and just taken from you. But your spirit can't. You've got to willingly give that up. You've got to say, okay, I'm a sheep. Bah. Bah. I'm down in the dirt where Ron Paul should have been the entire time. He should have took these people on and let us do the battling down here, because some of us don't care about getting dirty. We really don't. We think that these people deserve the mud that they've created for themselves. They've created their own excrement Just let us throw it on them. And that's all I'm saying. Just let me throw some at these people. Okay, this is what I'm all about. You got to out the people for what they are. Let's tell the truth here. Just say, here's the government shill. You know what I'm saying? Nobody needs to watch this anymore. The 100,000 people rally, that's what we're looking at for Tampa. Is that real? They really came out and said they wanted 100,000. What are they going to do with 100,000 people in Tampa at the end of August, about 100 degrees? I think that's an event I'm going to skip. I don't even have no plans to go to that because I don't care about the Republican Party that much. I will be a delegate, hopefully, but that has nothing to do with this rigged up convention here. What I'm looking at now, and what the politics this week is about one thing. I'm on the record already. I went on the record early. Ron Paul's going to endorse Mitt Romney. Okay, this is clearer than ever now. It wasn't Rand Paul covering his butt, it was covering his dad's. Rand Paul's got the rest of his career. This is going to be looked at as a favor. So he's giving cover for his dad to eventually endorse. They'll manufacture events so that Romney will look like, you know, oh my God, Obama's gonna take us to Armageddon, or who knows, or he'll, you know what I mean? Anything will be better than Obama, though. So that was the whole point of the Republican nomination, was that was going to be the winner. We all knew that. I mean, come on, stay in the dirt, get real, okay? And that leads me to another thought. Do something. Okay, if you're not gardening, if you're not doing something to prepare, then read something. The Law by Frederick Bastiat. Anyways, me and my hounds are out here in the garden, and we love it. I don't usually let them traipse around, not by themselves, but my Max and his sisters are very welcome where their dad is at any time. I am attached to these hounds, and why is that? A man and his dogs. I've always had dogs. For a brief period of my life I didn't, but I grew up with dogs, and yeah, dogs have always liked. Never met a dog I couldn't like, you know. I've had, you know, you gotta watch dogs and what moods they're in and things, but I love these dogs. And we're training them so that they can be in public. And this is Max, and we're all one big family. Michigan Garden, rolling around in the dirt with Ron Paul where he should have been from the beginning. And doggone it, that's the way that it is. I'll be a slave for the rest of my life. And isn't that what we're talking about here? We're talking about debt slavery. How much debt do you got? Let's be honest with each other here. We're all up to our eyeballs. And it doesn't take long with no income coming in to see our whole lives go right down the drain. Okay? And so what keeps people from speaking out? What did I just say? Financial reasons. One again, it's the money. It seems to be controlling everything we do. You know what I mean? It is the reason for a lot of people's existence is built around the money. Now the money makes money, and there's jobs making the money make money. This is insane, okay? The solution is a hard currency that never changes. It doesn't have to be anything precious. It really doesn't. But it should be metal, okay? Silver's great. I think it should be silver, personally. And I don't own silver, so I'm not advocating, you know what I mean? I can't totally say that, but I mean, I don't own enough to be a mogul, for crying out loud. A few coins isn't going to do anything. But it should have a set value. Silver should have a set value, and then adjust everything else to it. Because we're at that point right now. So things are going to have to be adjusted. Don't sit there and talk to me, well, the pure free market. I don't buy that. We're at the point now to where the market is so perverted, you've got to clean it all the way out. It's got to be cleaned all the way out. The bankers have to be put out of business. Their assets have to be taken back from them. Now, they can willingly give them back. They can. And they probably will, most of them, to save their lives. Because when the people find out what is going on and who's doing it, then they're going to be able to identify the web as it goes out. Because the money is, just follow the money on all these politicians and you'll see what's going on. The money that elected Bush, elected Obama, is now behind Romney. Who do you think's going to win? They put it right in your face. It's right in your face. And Obama is a criminal. Just flat out, he's a criminal. And so, why do I concentrate on the president? Because that is what they do. That is how they program everybody through the king or the president. To take that away from them would be great. The whole thing is, what do you do with the revolution after it's over? What kind of a government do you want? Do we want any? Let's get serious here. Do we really want a government? We don't need a government anymore. I mean, we're so good at policing each other. You know what I'm saying? We just changed the rules a bit on the policing of each other. Instead of turning people in, now we just talk to each other and settle our disputes peacefully. We can set up little advisory boards in the town to settle disputes between neighbors if there's any such thing. But if we leave each other alone and stay out of each other's personal belongings and property and everything and learn not to worry about what people are thinking, because it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, it matters what you think. It matters who you are. We got to concentrate on instilling that kind of thinking in everybody, because it's hard, man, because we're taught, and like I said, with the programming and the TV, and ever since, I'm almost 50 years old here, and I'm in the TV, I grew up with the TV generation. The assassinations on TV, and those things stick out. And all of those were used to instill, different types of things into the people. And so we're being manipulated without our knowledge, good or bad. People think, well, I'm just going to manipulate somebody's mind, because it's for the good. My cause is good. Well, that's not fair, and that's not right. Let's just start with the truth. So rule number one in the revolution is we got to start telling the truth. Everybody. Okay? If there's a disagreement on what the truth is, you know what I mean? That's going to have to be settled. But at the same time, such as 9/11, those truths can't be settled. Okay? It doesn't matter. There's enough evidence there for everybody to come to the conclusion that we were completely lied to. There's no truth there. We can pretty much win everybody on the fact that it's not what they said it was. So we got to get there. And then after we get there, we can go on from there. Because it'll take care of itself. It will. Everybody that I've ever turned on to 9/11 truth has taken to it. Even older people. So I'm going to include some 9/11 clips on my website, just some pretty generic stuff that stays away from the PNAC stuff and all this. This stuff is important, you know what I mean? And all for consideration, but this is a new issue for a lot of people, because now it's been 10 years. You've got a whole generation of kids, okay, that are now 18, 19, 20, who've been indoctrinated into this terrorism school. So they need the truth now. And those are the people you should target, just like Ron Paul targets these kids and stuff like that. Like I said before, the Paul campaign, they didn't want nothing to do with 9/11 truth. They didn't want anything. They didn't want it mentioned. Okay? Just like Israel, don't even talk about it, please, you know what I mean? They didn't want you to say anything about it. They didn't want you to talk to the media. These people, you got to understand what really is going on with this Ron Paul thing, okay? Now they want a huge rally in Tampa. They were talking like the campaign officially saying we want 100,000 people there. This is incredible. You're not going to believe this. Yeah, you're going to believe it. I had an idea here in Michigan when they came here, and I came up with it in late January about using the Silver Dome. And by the time I got everything, we only had like 2 or 3 weeks to get it, but they were going to basically give it to us with 20,000 people that would get there. My idea was a rally for the grassroots supporters. That way we could draw on all the people from Ohio, Indiana, Chicago, Illinois, even Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania even, and even some places south. These people would come. I mean, just a huge grassroots, like a party, have some speakers and everything else, and I'm serious about a party. I mean, we could have had just a huge rally there, and this was the type of thing that needed to happen early in the campaign. I mean, we needed to show the presence of a lot of people. Now they want the presence of a lot of people to make a statement at a Republican convention. It is not about the Republicans, and it's not about the Democrats. I mean, there's Republicans right now that are so obsessed with Obama, it is just unbelievable. That just skewers their whole mind, and that's pretty much the way that they want you. Okay, so they're totally manipulated. They're going to go Republican no matter what. So, and then you have the Democrats, and they're equally as manipulated. I mean, the Obama people are just as bad. They'll stick a pour more right in your face. You know what I'm saying? They don't even want to talk about any issues. That's what I'm saying. Can't we just talk? I mean, it's not Joan Rivers. I'm saying we need to really talk. And seriously, religion and politics, what else is there? Really? Those are the two things they tell you not to talk about. Why? Because they're afraid that you might actually come to some kind of a consensus on the whole meaning of both of those items. And now it's time for the heart of the garden.
Heart to heart, soul to soul.
The sense of purpose. We've got to go about things with a sense of purpose now. Everything has a sense of purpose to it. Your garden, your life, what you do. Pick out the most important things, concentrate on those things, and you know what? Some things just ain't going to get done. The yard might not get done as quick as my garden gets done, but what is more important to me? So, you know, it's what do you do with yourself? We need to work on ourselves, and in that process, this is the best time to do it. This summer is the perfect time to do it. This is the summer of discontent, but this can be the summer of contentment for those who wish it to be, because that's available now, because there's so few people that are taking advantage of the good things that there's a lot there. There's just a lot there. Figure it out, you know what I'm saying? If you had a scale and you said how many people are good and how many people are bad, where do you think that scale would be? Where are we on that scale? And then I think we pretty much know the answer to that. It's tilted the wrong way. It's tilted to the dark side, if you want to say that. So, you know, that's not good. And how do you change that? It doesn't change very easy or very fast. It could change overnight in certain aspects. And that is the thing that people kind of escape people's understanding, because they think, oh, it's got to be a process to do this, or it's got, no, it doesn't. Things can change like right now. And that's the beauty of being alive and just being a person. Sometimes you can come to a realization and everything can change for you. And man, I wish that on anybody. I do. I mean, for me, a lot of things changed when I had an out-of-body experience. I mean, does that surprise you? Oh my gosh, you know. But I was in a severe car accident, and when I woke up, I was floating around in the hospital room, looking down at myself. And there was tubes, IVs coming out of me, and I was in ICU for sure. And I was like looking down at myself, and all of a sudden it was like I was back in my body, and I was crying out in pain. So, you know what I mean? I was residing in that body, and I was hurting bad. And I woke up, and I guess I was out like 18 hours, and I did some reconstructive surgery on my legs and stuff. But, you know, that stuck with me. All of a sudden, I started writing poetry and all kinds of stuff, but I'd always done that. You know, it was like it brought out the best things. The things that I already had inside of me started to come out. And, of course, being young and, you know, full of myself, I lost a lot of those things, but I didn't lose the truths. They always stay with you. So, you know, the accident was horrible. What happened afterwards was a miracle. Revolution starts inside. It starts inside of you. And so I am a revolutionary, and I'm a little bit ahead of the game here, but we're getting there. We all are getting there. This is so cool. What is happening in the world today and what's happening inside of people is beyond the explanation of anybody that's really coherent about what's going on. You can't explain it, but it's real. And so that's the cool part. Just, trust me, it's going on. Have faith. That's sounds like any other religion or whatever, but we don't talk about that. Just because you say faith, that doesn't necessarily, mean religion. It means faith is a word, like a lot of words. And they've taken our words from us. They take them and they change them. There is my first blueberry bush, freshly planted during the rain we had. And what do I spy? And that looks like my lone blueberry waving in the wind. I do have a blueberry, and we'll get one this year. Hopefully more next year. Love blueberries. Now looking out on the garden, we got weeds. It did rain. Got rain Sunday. This is pre anything done Monday morning. You can see the weeds come quickly. You get rain, you get instant weeds. It was easy to keep the weeds out of the garden when it wasn't raining. Now that it's raining, it's time to go to work now. My corn is tasseling. Believe it or not, it's about 2 feet high, and it's tasseling. Not an aberration. There's a tassel there. Of course, the cukes love the rain. The cukes love the rain. My dogs. Blessing, get out of that garden right now. There are my 3 hounds. Jazzy's crawling. Cukes are taking off. See, the corn looks green. Everything, look at the potatoes are going. Well, we're going to get busy and do some weeding here. You can see there are weeds everywhere. So without weeding, we must weed first. And we're going to start attaching cages on here. All right, we're tilled now. Blueberry tree. Thing looks real good. The size of them potatoes, they're taking over. They always do. I'm in the process of putting a cage on here. This is some real good 5-foot rebarb. These were cages of my grandpa. He grew tomatoes every year. He grew them in 5-gallon buckets. He punched holes in the bottom of the buckets and grew them right in the yard. And then he attached these cages on top. You can see they're tall. They're 5-foot cages. So that's probably the ideal height. The 4-foot field fence is what I use, and that's about $200 a roll. You get, 100 feet. But the squares are big so that you can put your hands through there to grab them big tomatoes out. If you get a tomato that's too big to come out the holes, and you know what I mean, I don't even want to talk to you because you ain't real. You don't exist, okay? But anyways, I'm going to install this cage real quick. I would be using, here, let me just set this down a minute. Oh, jeez. Anyways, you always have your tools that you need handy, like I use this strapping. This is the basic strapping, industrial strength. You can use this with a banding machine. This stuff is like iron. I mean, this lasts for years. Sometimes if you tie them right and untie them, then you won't have to. You cut them about 6 inches long, so I'll just set that down a minute. Stop on it. And of course the ever handy pruning shears. You don't want to pinch or tear off with your hands too much stuff. You want a nice clean cut. And always when you cut it off, try and get the whole portion of the node. You need to dig into the stalk just a little bit, and that way the stalk, well, it'll cover and heal itself real good, and it'll go straight up. Then it don't look all knobby, and plus it'll grow back on you. You know, these tomato grows very rapidly, and it'll shoot off. So, you know, pruning is an everyday thing with a tomato. So, anyways, we're gonna put this cage on. Let me just put these down a minute. My God, what's going on here? Anyways, the basic scissors you would use to cut that strapping tape, you know, wow, and then cut a couple strips about 6 inches long or so, you know, to use. These are handy because I was using the field fence, and you just take a little bit of, cut a strand off, and then make a circle with it, and then attach that on there onto the fence. And so now I've already pounded the pole, and you can get a post pounder. I got a 3-pound sledge. I'm like a caveman anyway, so I just pound them in. And your dirt is soft here, so I mean you'll get it down a foot before you hit any resistance. And the best way I found is just attach 1 cage per bar. I mean, slowly over time I've accumulated them over the years. You can string them together. I've done something and stuff like that, but the most secure way is this way, and then you can remove them, and you know what I mean, as you need to or whatever. At any rate, I'm going to slip this on real quick. Yeah, it's the faster you can do things year after year, the better off you are. So just goes down there. You can slide your cage over. You can hold it with one hand. Make sure you don't crush your tomato with the other. Oh, right there. So we have garden on week 3 in the hot Michigan sun. It's going to be 96 today. It's roasting. I put a few cages on this morning in the coolness. All the ones that were touching the ground, I got them up off the ground. Oh, what do we see there? That is a tomato if I've ever seen one. Look at her. Oh, the Brandywine. Oh, come on, baby. 4th of July for my Brandywine. Can we wish it ripe? We'll find out. Pepper, tomato, all the way down. We're going to have cages. And the peppers will, there's my green onions. I really enjoy them. They're coming quick. Within a week, I'd say, if I put water on them, they'll probably be ready to harvest, young and tender. I'm going to have an omelet in their honor. Down here I've got my edge line and my Arkansas Traveler. The tall cages I got are from my grandpa. Oh, we're back in the shade again, underneath the maple tree, looking out at the garden. There's the cage I just did. We're real happy so far. We did a good tilling. That's right. God bless America. There is only one America. It's American to garden. Huh?
Number 4.
I would say instead of worrying about the everyday things that happen, that these globalists and these elitists and these politicians are after us about, right now in the summertime, we have an opportunity right now to get ready, because they're going to let these conventions happen. They're using these as a tool. This is all about script and how you manage the people. If they don't get the opportunity to use their scripted material on the people, who knows what could happen come October, November. And that's, that's our job, is to disrupt this. We may not be able to change the events, but the media, I am doggone certain we can make a huge impact on what people are looking at and what people are watching at. Now, this takes a little bit of coordination. Unfortunately, we got a lot of people in the alternative. They like to fight with each other all the time. This is just crazy, okay?